Hello, everyone. This is the Crimson Cure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen.
Vitality is our ability to have spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical bliss. Some call it paradise. We call it a game.
Hey there, Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I am, of course, your host, the Crimson Cure. And as usual, we're just going to jump right into the topic. So what we're talking about today is the sins of the mother fall to her sons. And there's a lot of talk in this space about not being stepfathers, not being mentors, and men just sort of opting out of any sort of participation with the community, whether that's for good, bad, or indifferent. And here's my take on it. It seems that a lot of that is coming from needing to or wanting to punish the mother. If she's a single mother, or she never was married, or she has children by multiple men, the refusal to mentor or coach or guide or even give any sort of structure or impart anything good to young Black boys comes from, well, your mother was for the streets, so that's your problem. And the issue that I have with that is that when do we end the cycle of that, though? Because just because she was a single mother, that doesn't have anything to do with the son. That doesn't have anything to do with him. He didn't ask for that. He was just a product of decisions made, even if they were bad decisions. He's just a product of that. And because he's a product of those, of his mother's bad decisions or his father's bad decisions or whatever, then he has to go through life suffering without any guidance really from any Black man that could give it to him, that really would have the power to give it to him. And for our Black men to look at those young boys and say, well, you shouldn't have had a single mama, your problem, your fault. But I'm going to ridicule you. I'm not going to give you any tools, even though I have tools over here for you to use. I see you headed in the wrong direction, and I probably could say something to stop you from heading in the wrong direction, or at least give you some information so that if you do, you won't be doing it in ignorance at least. But I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to give you I'm not going to lend you a helping hand. I'm not going to tell you anything that might benefit you, because you know what? Your mother shouldn't have been for the streets. And you may or may not have had anything to do with that, but you sure about to suffer for it though. And I'm not going to give two shorts and curlies about that suffering. And I'm going to watch you go through trials and tribulations, get caught up in the wrong crowd, or get caught up in jail stuff, or get caught up in gang stuff, or get caught up just being an unproductive young man just because nobody taught you or told you what masculinity was about, or responsibility or leadership or any of those things. Like, nobody's giving you the tools. And even though I probably could give you the tools, I'm not going to do it, because you know what? I may not be able to clap your mom's cheeks like I want to. Or even if I don't want to, you know, it's too bad that she had you in the conditions that she had you. So you're going to suffer for being born in those conditions. And when you suffer for being born in those conditions, I'm also going to be the same person that downtrods you and that talks bad about you about being a Pookie and a Ray Ray, because somebody should have told you better or taught you better, or you should have magically understood better through osmosis. You should have just magically popped on into your masculinity, known what to do, known how to handle your life without anybody ever telling you that, because that's how apparently I learned how to be masculine. Nobody told me anything, which is all cap, because somebody told you something, because you didn't just know it from birth. You had to learn it. And I'm not saying this to try to shame men. What I'm talking about here is that at some point, some decisions are going to have to be made to try to stop the cycle that goes into the single mother, that goes into the Pookies and Ray Rays and all of that in our community. Someone somewhere is going to have to deal with the young boys. And you can say, well, his mama needs to deal with it. But even if he has a very good doting mother and not a trash mom, she's not going to be able to teach him anything about his masculinity. She's not going to be able to do that. And if his biological father is either there and dysfunctional, or he's not there at all, or whatever the case may be, the reason why he's not getting the male guidance that he needs, then somebody somewhere, whether it be done in terms of sports or somebody, you know what I'm saying, has some type of little neighborhood organization where they try to deal with the young boys and try to maybe get them to see some type of value within themselves, because it's a lot of young Black boys that don't see any value within themselves because nobody tells them that they have any value. They get treated like they're worthless from when they're really young. And then they're growing up with this tremendous pressure and really a tremendous amount of depression that leads to a lot of male suicide, when they just don't feel like they're worth anything to anybody, and that nobody cares and nobody loves them and nobody wants them. This is a real problem in our neighborhoods. This is a real problem in our collective group, that these young Black boys are running around here feeling completely worthless. And we can point the finger and say, well, his mama shouldn't have did this, or his daddy shouldn't have did this. And those things may be true. I'm not saying that those things aren't true. What I'm saying is, it's not his fault if they're true. It is not that boy's fault if his mama was for the streets and all his brothers and sisters is by different daddies. What does he have to do with that? Absolutely nothing. He didn't ask for that situation. He didn't condone it. He didn't have nothing to do with that decision. It was just a decision made to birth him into this world, and here he is. And now he got to try to do the best he can in disadvantaged situations. Some of the same situations that all of us have grown up in, and we see the next generation coming up in the struggles, and then we just sit there and be like, well, you struggle with it like I did, when that's not really supposed to be the case. Really, each generation should have it easier than the last, because the last generation is telling them, hey, this is not how you do it. We already made that mistake. Don't do that. Now, some folks is going to be hard-headed and fall into the trap anyway, because everybody can't be saved, but more can be saved if we cared about it. That's all I'm really saying. Maybe you don't want to be a stepfather. Maybe you don't want to get married and she's got kids that aren't yours. Like, I can understand that. But at the same time, at some point, we're going to have to turn some of this stuff around. And if we're in a space that is supposed to be dedicated to the betterment, the empowerment, and the agency of not only Black men, but giving Black boys that same empowerment and same agency, then that's going to have to happen with boots on the ground at some point somewhere. It's just going to have to happen. Somebody got to do it. We can't always just look to the next person and the next person and the next person and say, you do it, you do it, you do it. Because I'm not doing it. I'm not getting my hands dirty. I'm not putting no time or no energy or no thought into that. But I'm going to ridicule the community for not getting any better. But I'm not going to participate in the betterment of it. Not even on a one-to-one basis. Not even with my nephew or, or whatever. We have to start changing our minds about letting the children be punished because we don't like the decision of their parents, and we don't like the circumstances and under which they were born, and we don't like, how their parents lived their life and how they made decisions and things of that nature that might have been the wrong thing to do. That doesn't have anything to do with the children, though. The children are innocent of that. They're innocent of that. And our children consistently don't have guidance, even if it's nothing but literacy programs that we do on our own and say, okay, I'm going to teach the young boys, make sure that the young boys in my neighborhood or just the ones in my family, it don't have to be strange children, but you know what I'm saying? If not my own biological children, but if I have nephews, at least, because I'm talking about the boys, if I have nephews, you know, I'm going to teach them how to read properly and make sure they read at level. You know, maybe sometime I'll take them to a museum, and while we out, you know, I give them some wisdom. I give them something that I had. You never know. We never know what impact we're actually having, even if it's just a little, even if it's just once in a while. A lot of times that'll stick with a child. Even if they be wayward for a little bit, they'll come back to true wisdom and say, you know what? My uncle or whatever, or my big homie told me about this. Let me go ahead and get my head together so I can be better, so I can make some better decisions. Let's not give up on our Black boys. Let's not throw them to the wolves and say, you know what, your mother made bad decisions and things like that. So it's too bad, so sad if you get eaten by the wolves. Like, we can't just throw them. I am not an advocate of just throwing our boys to the wolves. I'm really not. The A-Game family is dedicated to not throwing boys to the wolves. Because if we throw the boys to the wolves, they're going to be men that are in the wilderness. Those boys become men at some point. And somebody is responsible for what kind of man they become, based on what kind of tools they were given to achieve manhood. And many times our boys aren't given very good tools, or if tools at all. All right, so I want everyone to sound off in the comments. What do you think? Is this anybody's responsibility other than their mother and father? And if their mothers and fathers are unwilling or incapable of giving their sons anything that prepares them for life, should the son suffer for those decisions? Or should somebody take some type of mercy on them and say, you know what, I may be able to help you, even if it's in a small capacity. All right, so like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.